Liberal Party candidates and administration allies files their certificate of candidacy in COMELEC main office today.
Nobody can use government resources, not even bomb. I will not allow.
President Rodrigo Duterte assures no government funding will be used to campaign for the administration's 2019 political bets. And the Commission on Elections appeals to candidates to follow the 4 companion rule. Good evening. Former DILG Secretary Maro Haas is making a comeback in politics after a 2-year break. Several Liberal Party members and former lawmakers also formalized their bid to run as senator in the 2019 midterm polls. Nel Mariboc tells us why.
Former lawmaker Manuel Rojas II formalizes his bid to return to the political arena and filed for the 2019 senatorial race. Rojas' last foray into politics was in 2015 when he ran as Liberal Party's presidential candidate. He first ran as president in 2010 but had to withdraw to give way to former President Benigno Aquino III. He instead ran for vice president but lost to former Makati Mayor Jejomar Binay. Rojas, also a former senator, served as secretary of the DOTC and DILG prior to his presidential bid. Rojas says he will focus on programs and projects intended to help the poor.
Nais na tumulong sa kapakanan ng ating mga kababayan, no? Para sa akin, bagaman talagang mahirap itong desisyon na ito dahil nagsimula na yung bagong chapter sa buhay ko, yung sa katahimikan, ng family life. Nakita ko na maraming hirap pa rin, no? At may mga solusyon naman na mukhang hindi napag-uusapan man lang. No? So kung makakatulong tayo, bakit hindi?
Re-electionist Senator Bam Aquino also files his COC for another term in the Senate and vowed to push for amendments on the provisions of train law and a rollback of the excise taxes imposed on petroleum products.
For the past 5 years, nakatutok po kami sa pangangailangan ng pamilyang Pilipino. Kung ang kailangan po ng pamilyang Pilipino edukasyon, tinulak ho namin yung libreng tuition, pagbabaho ng presyo ng bigas.
Jose Manuel Chel Diokno, founding dean of the De La Salle University College of Law and the son of the Commission on Human Rights founder Jose Pepe Wright Diokno, also filed his COC today for senator. Diokno says he would work on improving the country's justice system, especially for the benefit of the poor.
Kung hindi po natin maayos ang ating sistema ng katarungan, hindi tayo uunlad.
Former Quezon Representative and House Deputy Speaker Lorenzo Erin Tañada also filed his COC for senator and vowed to work on providing more jobs to Filipinos and improve the lives of local farmers.
Paano natin lulutasin ang kahirapan? Unang-una, kailangan may trabaho. No? So, paano natin maproprotektahan, ma-ensure na may trabaho ang bawat mamamayan dito sa ating bansa? Yun ang titignan po natin.
Congresswoman Pia Cayetano also wants a comeback in the Senate. She biked all the way from Rizal Monument to the COMELEC main office to file her COC as a way to promote her advocacy on health, fitness, and sustainable transportation. She is currently the House Deputy Speaker and representative of Taguig City 2nd District. She was a senator for 2 consecutive terms from 2014 to 2016.
I think my record speaks for itself. From the time I was in the Senate, I fought for a reproductive health bill, which is a bill which is now a law that languished for 12 years. If I did not initiate that in the Senate, we wouldn't be where we are today in having a reproductive health law.
Ilocos Norte Governor Amy Marcos, daughter of late President Ferdinand Marcos, also seeks to run as senator in 2019. When asked what made her decide to run, Marcos said she believes that people in the countryside should have a voice and a representative in the Senate. She is also confident that the potential rise in anti-Marcos sentiments during the campaign period will not hinder her from running, and if given the chance, in pushing her advocacy in the Senate.
Sa palagay ko, ang ating bansa ay handang-handa na makarinig ng iba pang isipan at marinig rin ang aming side of the story, ika nga.
Former Senator Jingo Estrada is also seeking to return to the Senate. He was accompanied by his father, Manila Mayor Joseph Estrada, in filing his COC. He believes there will be no vote sharing between him and his brother, Senator JV Ejercito, who is also seeking a re-election.
Kahit anong pagpapasarin niya sa akin, alam nyo, kapatid ko pa rin yan. Kadugo ko pa rin yan. Isa lang ang tatay namin. Kung ako lang masusunod, gusto ko dalawa kami manalo sa Senado.
94-year-old veteran Juan Ponce Enrile also wants to go back to the Senate. His COC was filed by his lawyer earlier. Meanwhile, the new political group called Katipunan Party presents its senatorial slate led by former Consultative Committee spokesperson Ding Generoso.
To campaign for federalism, system change, and the adoption of the Puno Draft Constitution.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The wife of slain 13 Martires Cavite Vice Mayor Alexander Lubigan is running for mayor in the 2019 midterm elections. Meanwhile, Cebu Governor Hilario David III will switch place with his running mate Vice Mayor Agnes Magpale, who is eyeing the governor's post against a 3rd District Representative Gwen Garcia. Here's why from Gladys to Abby.
Cebu Governor Hilario David III has filed his certificate of candidacy to run as Vice Governor in the 2019 midterm elections. David switched posts with his running mate Vice Governor Agnes Magpale, who will run as governor against Cebu 3rd District Representative Gwen Garcia. Garcia has filed her COC on Monday seeking to return to the provincial capital. David has expressed confidence on Magpale's capability to lead the province, citing her dedication and work ethics.
My decision to run for Vice Governor and asking Vice Governor Agnes Magpale to run for governor came without pain and reservation. It was born out of an outstanding partnership. I firmly believe that Agnes, as governor of the province of Cebu, will continue our journey of good governance.
With all humility, I accept the challenge to run as governor. This is to the best interest of party alliances.
Cavite supporters of slain 13 Martires Vice Mayor Alexander Lubigan trooped to a local COMELEC office to accompany his wife Gemma Lubigan in filing her certificate of candidacy for mayor. Lubigan and his bodyguard were killed by still unidentified gunmen in July. Mrs. Lubigan said she decided to run to continue the fight of her husband who was supposed to bid for the same post. She will go against former 13 Martires Mayor Melencio de Sagun, the father of incumbent Mayor Melendres de Sagun.
Ang alam ko, mahirap tong tatahakin ko eh. Pero ang nasa likod ko naman, mamamayang Treseño. So yun yung nagpapalakas ng loob sa akin.
Meanwhile, Bulacan Governor Wilhelmino C. Alvarado will bid for the vice gubernatorial post in 2019, while his running mate Vice Governor Daniel Fernando will run for governor. The two who filed their certificate of candidacy earlier explained they switched places in order to continue their service and finish their projects.
Sana po ang aming paglilingkod na naipagkaloob sa inyo ay nagustuhan ninyo. At bagamat alam namin kulang pa rin ito, iyon po ang dahilan kung bakit nais naming ipagpatuloy ito.
Well, yung continuation ng 7-point agenda, syempre lahat yun gagawin namin. Lahat naman is priority namin.
Gladys Tuwabi, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Commission on Elections will still receive the certificates of candidacy of those who cannot personally go to the COMELEC office. The poll body appeals for the last-minute filers to observe the 4-companion rule. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Commission on Elections gives consideration to those who would want to file their candidacy for May 2019 elections but cannot personally file it at their COMELEC office. According to the poll body, they just need to follow the process for it. Based on the COMELEC Resolution number 10420, COMELEC should receive the COCs of aspirants as long as they have completed their requirements, like the authority to file an authorized certificate of candidacy form. Authorized representatives are not just limited to family members. COMELEC explains they accept COCs ministerially, personal or not, as long as the COMELEC rules and regulations are observed too.
Yung COC, tapos authority to file the COC which is notarized, sasamahan din po ng ID or photocopy of the ID of the issuer of the SPA. It can be the lawyer, it can be the spouse, pwede rin yung children. So it can be anyone as long as the one who is appointed as the authorized person to file the COC is the one presenting it here before the COMELEC.
Today, there were 2 ordinary citizens who filed their COCs through their authorized representatives. Even former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile filed his COC today through his lawyer. He wants a comeback at the Senate at the age of 94. The members of the media have also received an information that Bacoor City Mayor Lani Mercado will possibly file the COC for her husband, former Senator Bong Revilla. Because he is still detained since June 2014, Mercado will be his authorized representative. According to COMELEC, it also depends on Revilla's camp on what they will put on Item 22 of the COC, which asked whether an aspirant is liable for an offense which carries with it the accessory penalty of perpetual disqualification to hold public office.
Nasa sa kanya na yun, kung ano yung i-check niya with the consultation of his lawyer. Ang concern lang namin is that it is filled out. So, and then later on, we will do the evaluation.
COMELEC explains this item was added to give accurate information about an aspiring candidate and to avoid blaming the poll body that an aspirant was permitted to run for office. Meanwhile, the poll body reminds the last-minute filers to observe the 4-companion rule. This is also to avoid what had happened yesterday when dozens of supporters of SAP Bongo occupied the COC filing area.
We had to do what is best under the circumstances, which is to just allow the filing of candidate Bongo, go through the process as normal as possible, and accommodate everyone who is already with the President.
COMELEC's latest update states that there is no possible COC filing extension tomorrow, and they will close the COMELEC gates at exactly 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
President Rodrigo Duterte assures the public that no government funding will be used to campaign for the administration bets for the 2019 midterm elections. He also calls on the military and police not to indulge in partisan politics. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte urges the military and police to remain neutral and not indulge in partisan politics as he vowed for an honest 2019 midterm elections. During a change of command ceremony of the Philippine Army in Fort Bonifacio, Taguig City on Monday, Duterte appealed to the Philippine National Police and the Armed Forces of the Philippines not to support any political candidates.
And let us make a deal here, promise. We make a commitment to the Filipino people. This election, strictly neutral tayong lahat. The armed forces, the police, and the uniformed personnel of government, I am asking you not to indulge in partisan politics. Wala tayong susuportahan. Yung mga kandidato ko, ako lang because this is a political position. But I expect everybody to respect that constitutional prohibition.
Duterte made the statement after he personally escorted his longtime aide, Christopher Bongo, who filed his candidacy for senator before the Commission on Elections. The president also assures the public that no one will be allowed to use government sources for their political activities, not even his trusted aide. Duterte also says he will campaign for his candidates.
And I will announce to the country now that we make a pledge. There will be an election and it will be an honest one. Nobody can use government resources, not even Bong. I will not allow. As a friend, I can invite him, but he should not. Of course, I will campaign for my candidates. Wala pa naman akong slate.
The chief executive also reiterates his plan to appoint newly retired Philippine Army Chief Rolando Bautista as the new Secretary of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. The former commander of the Intelligence Service of the AFP, Major General Macairog Alberto, is the newly installed Army Chief. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue.
There are only 7 months left before the 2019 elections. And here are the 8 types of voters in the Philippines. Find out which type are you. Monokson will tell us why in the special report.
How do you choose a candidate to vote? Are you the type who thinks and carefully studies the background and platform of a certain politician? Or are you someone who couldn't care less? The following reenactments show the 8 types of voters in the Philippines. The first type is called the first-time voters, the ones who will vote for the first time. They are usually excited and have many questions.
Naku, excited na akong bumoto. First time ko, sino kayang iboboto ko? Teka, saan ba akong presinto boboto? Ano bang kailangan kong dalhin? Uy, sino ba boboto mo?
Ay naku, wala akong time, miss ako.
Sungit naman na ito, kala mo sinong maganda.
The second type is the Wapakels voters. They are the ones who are not concerned at all. Whether their candidate will win or not, they just don't care.
Uy, sino iboboto mo? Ewan ko, bahala na. Bakit? Nakapag-kwel ka ba? Gusto mo, ikaw na.
Paray naman ito, kala ko sino maganda.
Bakit maganda naman talaga?
Wow!
The third type of voter is called the solid voters. These are the loyal fans and supporters of a certain candidate. Whatever criticisms thrown at their candidate may be, they still remain faithful. They usually wear campaign t-shirts, stickers, and ballers.
Hala, di ba yan yung paborito mong kandidato? Tingnan mo binabalita drug addict daw tsaka corrupt.
Paano mo naman nasabi Yan, fake news yan. Yung mga reporter na yan, mga bayaran yan. Kaya kahit anong sabihin mo, solid pa rin ako sa kandidato ko. Naku, makaalis na nga over my dead beautiful body.
Taray naman ito, kala mo kasi sinong maganda.
The fourth type is the silent protesters. Most of them campaign and attack in social media. They also make memes for their chosen or rival candidate.
Fake kaya itong account ko. Sige, sagot ka pa. Akala mo O eto sa'yo. O meron akong bagong memes. Wait ka lang.
The fifth type is called the obedient voters. They are the type who will just follow what is dictated to them.
Attention guys! Yan ang paboto natin sabi ni Boss Kaya supportahan natin yan
The sixth type is the corrupt voters. They accept money or benefits in exchange of their vote.
Pabili mo ng merienda.
Wow, talaga ba?
Oo, basta ako. Malimang mo iboto Sa eleksyon Walang maingay
May papaganda na.
The seventh type is called the bandwagoners. They are the type who just vote for a candidate that is famous or trending in social media.
Bes, tignan mo to. Be, panalo. Yan ang boboto ko. Bukod sa pogi na, be, panalo. Ang galing yan umarte. Pak! Diba? Pogi.
Ay, be, tingnan mo to.
Sino man yan?
Number 1 sa survey. At grabe trending. Naku, be, ito iboboto ko. Dito na ako.
Be, uso pogi ngayon. Kaya ito boboto ko.
Be.
Pak!
And the eighth type of voter is the patriotic voter. They are kind of voters that cares for the country. They are serious and meticulous in choosing the candidate they will vote for on election day.
May malasakit ba to sa bayan? Ano-anong batas ang naipasa nito? Puro pangako ba ito tuwing eleksyon? Anong mga plataporma niya? Kailangan isiping mabuti dahil kinabukasan namin ang nakataya dito.
COMELEC remind voters to vote wisely and meticulously and not to vote just because a candidate is famous.
Yung mga survey nakakatulong, pero as official sanction, hindi kami nagsasanction or nagpo-promote ng mga ganyan. Okay, pero personal na po yan sa mga botante natin. The COMELEC will never endorse such kind of surveys.
There are only 7 months left before we go to polling precincts to cast our votes. Which type of voter are you? Be meticulous, be wise, and be a voter with a heart. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Department of Agriculture orders the culling of hundreds of game fowls that were seized in a shipment that arrived at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport in early of October. The DA also temporarily bans the importation of live poultry from California, USA. Ray Pelayo tells us why in this exclusive report.
Boxes full of live chickens were recently seized by the Department of Agriculture at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. Photos provided by a source to the UNTV News and Rescue show game fowls seemingly dead, exhausted, or stressed in some open cages. The source also revealed that the first shipment arrived on October 9 from San Francisco, California through Philippine Airlines Flight PR-105. The shipment allegedly bears no health certificate and endorsement papers from the U.S. Department of Agriculture and were attached instead with fake import clearance from the Bureau of Animal Industry. Despite its lack of pertinent documents, a total of 168 heads of game fowls were still released for $120 shipment fee per head. Another shipment of game fowls arrived on October 10, but this has yet to be released from the PAL cargo warehouse. Information obtained by the UNTV News revealed that a certain broker is using the name of Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol to release the shipment. The said broker claims to be a friend of Piñol. The source also warned the game fowls might be infected with the Newcastle disease that has hit Southern California. When sought for a comment, Agriculture Secretary Piñol told the UNTV News and Rescue that he already ordered the seizure of the shipment. He also admitted to knowing the person acting as its broker.
Sabi ko pasensya ka na pero hindi lulusot to. Kasi pag kulang papeles mo, maski kaibigan pa kita, talagang hindi po pwedeng lumusot.
Piñol also clarified that only 80 heads from the first shipment were released following the presentation of its health certificates. The buy was also able to block the release of 300 heads more. Piñol explained that under the law, importers are given 10 days to produce the necessary documents for their shipments. Nevertheless, he already ordered the culling of the game fowls as they can be carriers of a new strain of avian virus currently affecting poultry in California.
So ang ginawa ko ngayon, I issued another order, a new order, banning altogether the shipment of chicken coming from California shipped through either San Francisco or Los Angeles. And that will stay until such time that USDA has issued a clearance na wala ng NCD outbreak sa California.
The DA is now preparing necessary legal actions against the importer or broker of the shipment. The agency is also checking if there were similar incidents of forged health certificates presented for virus-infected chickens that might jeopardize the country's poultry industry.
Cannot be perfect all the time. But hindi ako maaring mabigay ng pabor sa isang kaibigan. Maski mali, meron akong responsibilidad sa mga kaibigan ko, pero mas malaking responsibilidad ko sa taong bayan.
The secretary also added he is thinking of reshuffling the buy personnel after the incident. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Budget Secretary Benjamin Diokno is confident that government social service programs will not suffer if the second tranche of fuel excise tax will be suspended in 2019. Let's find out why from Rosalie Cos.
The economic managers of the Duterte administration have announced the early suspension of the second tranche of excise taxes on fuel under the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion or TRAIN law. This is to help bring down prices of oil and food and proactively anchor inflation expectations.
And it's not for political reasons, it's for good reasons, it's according to the law.
If this move pushes through in 2019, Budget Secretary Benjamin Diokno estimates the government will lose around 40 to 41 billion pesos in revenues.
Ano yan, tinatawag namin may demonstration effect na yan di ba? Pag-announce mo pa lang, announcement effect, ganun, na hindi namin pababayaan na tumaas pa.
However, Secretary Diokno assures that the social services of the government, such as unconditional and conditional cash transfer programs, will not be affected by the possible suspension of the next fuel excise tax. Even the infrastructure program of the government, which is the primary beneficiary of the fuel excise tax hike, will not be affected. Instead, the government will have budget cuts on some of its operating expenses for next year to offset the revenue loss.
No, hindi maapektuhan yan. Priority rin yan. As much as possible nga, hindi infrastructure. Yun na nga yung mga purchase of vehicles, yung mga ganon. And then, yung sa filling up of positions, yun yung mga medyo i-review namin.
For now, the economic managers have formed a task force to review the line items of the proposed 2019 national budget. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
A group of Filipino-Chinese bakers announces they are postponing their plan to increase the price of bread this year. Monokson tells us why.
The Filipino-Chinese Bakery Association will not increase the price of their bread this 2018. This is in response to the appeal of the Department of Trade and Industry not to hike the price of Pinoy Tasty and Pinoy Pandesal amid soaring consumer prices. A loaf of Pinoy Tasty is sold at 35 pesos, while Pinoy Pandesal are sold at 21 pesos per pack of 10.
There was no price changes in the world market, but the price varies depending on the exchange rate. So right now it's pretty much stable, and somehow it even went down. No?
The group adds it is also a part of their corporate social responsibility.
Competition also, and also the competition among flour millers. They were not able to increase their prices, so it's part of servicing also our community.
But bakers cannot promise not to hike the price of branded pastry amid low prices of its main ingredients, wheat and flour, due to the soaring cost of sugar and fuel. Bakers, however, assure only minimal adjustment will be implemented. The DTI, meanwhile, commends the response of the bakers group to their appeal.
Baka in-anticipate kasi nila nagagalaw ang flour, pero nagsabi naman sa DTI kay Secretary Lopez mismo na i-maintain nila as much as they can ang presyo.
Some consumer groups, on the other hand, call on the DTI to include branded pastry on the expanded suggested retail price to prevent retailers from taking unfair advantage. Monhokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Department of Tourism issued a warning to hotels and resorts in Boracay who have not yet complied with the requirements of the DENR, the DILG, and the DOT against accepting online bookings and reservations. Meanwhile, the DENR will be filing charges against a hotel in Boracay. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
Hotels and resorts in Boracay that have not passed the set environmental standards to operate should not receive booking reservations. According to Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat, these establishments should stop promoting online until they complete the requirements mandated by the DENR, the DILG, and the DOT. Puyat warned these establishments may face charges doing so.
The actions of these non-compliant establishments in soliciting and to obtain booking reservations may be considered deceptive and may subject them to civil liability and suits.
DILG Secretary Eduardo Año added that establishments should be 100% compliant before they will be allowed to operate. This is to avoid any confusion that may cause negative impact on tourists planning to visit Boracay. Some hotels are also having difficulty in getting new Environmental Compliance Certificate or ECC for not having a proper waste disposal. Aside from that, the easement rule is also not followed by establishments along the White Beach and even beside the road.
The rule is very clear. Non-compliant, no operation. Ganun lang kasi. And it should be 100% compliant, hindi 95%, 90%, 100%.
So pag sir may nag-operate sa 26,
we will padlock it.
Meanwhile, a hotel in Boracay was found having a falsified DNR permit.
So ginamit niya kayo nitong fake, pinasa kay secretary. Nakita kayo ni secretary, tinanong ako, bakit pwede ba mag-credit, mag-apply itong maraming hindi pa naman maraming compliant. Sabi ko, hindi.
According to Simatu, they were able to identify the culprit as an employee of the owner of the hotel. A lawsuit will be filed by the DNR against the individual who falsified the document.
Yes, we are falsification of document against the person na gumawa ng ganon. Pag in-incriminate niya yung boss niya, bahala sila.
The Boracay Interagency Task Force required the establishments in Boracay to be compliant to the DNR, the DILG, and the DOT for them to finally be able to operate on the island. Puyat added that they will continue accepting applications for compliance even after soft opening on October 26. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Boracay.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government and the PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group are investigating complaints against more than 300 local chief executives that they received via the government hotline 8888 and the DILG Action Center. Leah Ilagan tells us why.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government has sought the assistance of the Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group to probe the alleged anomalies involving over 300 local officials. Among the complaints against local chief executives that are being investigated on are misdeclaration of their statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth or SALN, anomalies in project biddings and implementation of unapproved programs. According to DILG spokesperson Assistant Secretary Jonathan Malaya, the complaints were gathered from calls made to the government hotline 8888 and DILG Action Center since 2016.
Sa requirement kasi, all contracts, all projects have to go through Sangguniang approval. Ang ganyan pong klaseng kaso ay grave misconduct yan.
Authorities are also probing complaints on alleged irregularity in releasing of funds, unliquidated cash, and nepotism in local government units. PNP Chief Director General Oscar Albayalde has earlier confirmed that the CIDG has served subpoena to concerned officials.
Sinasabina naman dito are the documents and the accountant nung not the mayors, not the local chief executives.
But according to a political science professor, the move of the DILG and PNP might be construed as politically motivated, citing the timing of the investigation.
Ang fear nila ay malapit na kasi ang eleksyon. So yung timing din ng pagkakaroon ng investigation kasi yun nga ang nangyayari dati, may mga instances na ang mga tumatakbo o kaya tatakbo o kaya mga opposition na mga mayors, mga governors, minsan nagagamit ang DILG para gipitin sila.
Majority of the investigated local officials are from Luzon, some are from the Visayas, and the rest are from Mindanao. The PNP says information gathered from the said investigation will be forwarded to the Office of the Ombudsman for the filing of appropriate charges. Leah Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Senator Laila de Lima urges the judge handling her conspiracy to commit illegal drug trade charge to inhibit from her case. May Bermudez tells us why.
Senator Laila de Lima has tagged the judge handling her drug case as biased. As her camp filed their motion to inhibit, the detained lawmaker accused Judge Lorna Navarro of premature judgment when she favored the DOJ and did not disqualify the 13 witnesses who were convicted criminals. Even when they filed a motion to vacate, they recalled being accused of late filing even when the court staff accepted it.
Well, gaya na sinabi ko kanina sa inyo na yung right to a fair trial, yan ang primordial na karapatan ng isang akusado. Ngayon, hindi na namin nakikita kay judge kasi na magkakaroon ng patas na trial. Nakikita namin sa mga galaw niya na parang meron na siyang bias against sa our client at hindi namin pwede ito mapalagpas. Kasi sa dami-dami ng mga nakita namin na mga circumstances, sabi ko nga parang kasalanan na namin kapag hindi pa kami nagpa-inhibit.
The prosecution in the meantime will file their opposition. They said they recognize that there are times when the court votes in favor and not in favor, but this is normal and part of judicial process.
Pero kami, di ba, you will recall, at the outset, marami rin kami mga negative orders na kay judge, pero we did not even entertain. I thought na talagang bias siya, partial siya.
But even then, the judge has not yet decided on the matter.
Quick hearing kasi nga yung nature ng aming motion na hindi makagalaw si judge, hindi niya magdidesisyonan. Okay, so mag-inhibit siya.
The court scheduled the next hearing on November 6th, which stemmed from the legislator's alleged conspiracy with drug lords in the New Bilibid prison when she was still the DOJ chief. It can be recalled that in January, Judge Juanita Guerrero, who ordered her arrest, experienced the same scenario and inhibited from her case. May Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
And those are the reasons behind the stories in the second part of our newscast. Y News returns with William Thio. I'm Angelo, Castro III. Good evening.